Well, I'd just like for folks to really know what it really amounts to. It ain't like you spend $100 and you save $10 in taxes, because it don't do that. I mean, it's far from that.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
So we've got a caller on the line, and it's Joe from Decatur.
Wanted to mention a couple of things in the Alabama legislators, and y'all talked about it last week, and the first one was the grocery tax.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hoping to actually get on the radio, because the whole thing about the grocery tax, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe most Alabamians think, okay, they're going to take the tax off of groceries, therefore, in most cities now, the total tax rate is about 10%, 4% of it going to the state. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about a 4% reduction in the tax rate on groceries. And what they've done in the legislature has passed it in the House, and I don't think it's gone to the full Senate yet. But they make Alabamians think that, hey, this is a real big deal. But if you really look at it, the way it's working right now under their legislation is they're going to reduce it by 0.5% the first year, and then incrementally step it back, I guess, till they reach that 4% if they don't change their mind. But if you really take the 0.5% off of 4%, an individual goes to the grocery store and spends $200 on groceries. If all of them items are taxable, what it really winds up being on a $200 grocery bill is $1.
Right.
Now that's just using pretty simple math, and a dollar ain't much of a tax break. Now, come on, don't you know?
Right.
It's really pathetic to lead the Alabama voters to think, hey, we're fixing to get cut a 10% tax off our groceries, because that's really not what it is. And
right.
then so I think it's pretty deceiving the way they put that out, and most people don't really even look, you know. They don't really even realize that it only equals about $1 on $200.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not only that, but this bill, I think it actually doesn't even, the end of this bill is not even the full 4%. It's only up to 2%, right, Adam? That's the max. And then it only, you mentioned, Joe, that it goes 0.5% each year, but it only goes 0.5% each year if the Education Trust Fund revenue increases by no less than 3%. So if the Education Trust Fund revenue does not increase by at least 3% next year, then the 0.5% increase does not even happen. It's stalled until the next year. So yeah, it's very, very small beans.
Convoluted, because it's just too hard for them to do common sense right things.
Yeah.
And so we got to make it difficult and jump through hoops to get somewhere close to something positive. And then it never amounts to, what's promised.
Yeah, but Joe, we are going to be pre-taping for May the 13th because of my wedding, and so what I'll do is I'll clip this bit where you're talking about the grocery tax, and we'll put it on for the radio portion next week.
Well, I'd just like for folks to really know what it really amounts to. It ain't like you spend $100 and you save $10 in taxes, because it don't do that at all. I mean, it's far from that. The other couple of things, one other thing I want to mention, and then I'll get off the phone, is the overtime tax. Now, y'all gonna have to correct me on this, but I really, really find it difficult to agree with the overtime tax on your wages not be included in taxes. And the reason I say that, if you want to help the vast majority of Alabama workers, and why ain't they not taxing the first 40 hours? Where you know you're going to actually probably be working 40 hours if you got a full-time job. If you're working less than full-time, you get absolutely no effect from it whatsoever. But my real problem with it is, and I've witnessed this myself and I've lived it myself, people who work a lot of overtime, whether that be voluntary or mandatory, the more overtime, and like I say, I've witnessed this with my own eyes, the more overtime people work, the less employees they got to have in the long run. I mean, really and truly, to me, that's a problem. To me, that's kind of going backwards when we, even though the unemployment rate is so-called 3.5% now. If times get a little rougher, and these companies want to remain competitive, so forth, then if they start laying off some workers, but at the same time forcing the rest to work overtime, i.e. West Rock down south that was on strike, to me we're going backwards on that, Jacob. I mean,
we really should not be. I mean, we shouldn't be incentivizing people. We shouldn't be incentivizing workers to work more than 40 hours a week, and we certainly shouldn't be incentivizing employers to work their workers more than 40 hours a week. I mean, really, you know, I totally agree that the focus should be on how do we make sure that people are able to get what they need to have a good life within 40 hours, so that they can actually have 8 hours for what they will, right? and 8 hours for rest.
Exactly.
And that's, you know, it's amazing that that's becoming kind of a radical concept again, that people ought to have 8 hours for what they will in the day. And we're going to be talking to, you know, to this cast of Toll Puddle here in just a second about some of these fights from 1800s England, where they were fighting for the right to a 16-hour day, and the right to a 12-hour day, and the right to a 10-hour day, right? Yes. So yeah. Well, I really appreciate it, Joe. Always good to hear from you, and always really good stuff to say.
let me just mention one more thing, and I'll make it really quick. Both of these tax bills that I'm talking about, I think that was really bipartisan support on both of them.
The overtime tax, the overtime one was actually introduced by a Democrat.
Absolutely. I absolutely do not understand that. You know, I'm a yellow dog Democrat, period, and always will be. But I certainly don't think it was very well thought out. But I also think that it's just another thing that does get some statewide interest from your average guy who don't pay much attention to the legislator anyway. But it's a way for them to get some attention, like they're really doing something big for us. They promoting this kind of stuff while they're stabbing us in the back on the voting rights. Jacob, I'll let y'all go. Hey, Adam, just keeping with progressive corrective discipline, you was late Thursday, man. So I know. You can just consider this an oral reprimand. You can just consider this an oral reprimand. But I appreciate
the heads up, Joe, and I'll talk to my rep in the meantime.
You know I'm kidding. But
I know, brother. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Talk to y'all later, man.
Have a good one.
Brother. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, that was Joe from Decatur. Is a great guy. Really a leader in the labor movement here in North Alabama. Former steel worker, retired out of the Cortland, Alabama International Paper Mill. Great. Really enjoy, and I really feel honored to have him as somebody that I can call and call a friend and call for advice, and he's definitely a good asset to folks. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. and we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.